Okay, welcome back again. So this time, just as the theme suggests, we are in the Il-39 Albatros, a Czech trainer and light attack aircraft. One thing to note, if you want the real metric dials, you have to set the units to metric. Avionics language doesn't really matter, there aren't any avionics, and you can still have the English language and of course the English cockpit, but the dials are set via this option right here. Okay, so and with this video I wanna give out the information I was able to learn so far, which concerns the cockpit layout, the buttons and most of its features. I'm not gonna go over ADF, the automatic direction finder, or the RSBN. This will be another video, but most of the buttons, the checks and the startup process will be checked here in this video. We'll just start an instant action mission, and quite frankly I'm used to the C version, the trainer version, but most people are gonna fly the CA, so let's use this plane. It's not that much different. There are a few more circuit breakers and the engine panel is a little bit different. Like, for instance,
this mission starts with a cold and dark aircraft parked on the ramp. We may fly the planned route or just explore the area. There are no threats.
This AOA heating sensor isn't available in the C version. The wing tanks would be down here in the C version. What else is different? The RSBN I think would be up there, and those two would be here on the left side. The emergency RSBN and the emergency IFF switch. So just wait, this isn't good. The rear de-icing marker and the STU switches would still be here. Let's just wait a second. I think I have to disable shadows again. Or the SSAO, yes. I have this in my config, but with quad views it's quite bothersome because of the forwarded rendering rectangle that you can see. Let's check if it's better this time. Yeah, way better. At least I don't see any forwarded rendering rectangle moving around following my eyes, so that's way better. Okay, so where do we start? Let's start from back here. This is the main ZB panel for circuit breakers. You've got all the different circuit breakers over here. Some are double then from here. So you usually have to make sure that they are both up, meaning on. So whenever you start the mission, that's always the case. This circuit breaker is for the engine overheat and should also be up. This is the test switch for the overheater. This is the gyrometric compass control panel, warning light panel. This is the altitude or RSBN altitude setting for the airfield. main and emergency hydraulics. These are the emergency hydraulics lever. This is the most important one, because while on the ground, the main and emergency hydraulics will be connected, and the emergency hydraulics will be automatically, let's say, refilled. But when you're flying, the pressure in the emergency hydraulic system can or will go lower, and then you have to connect the main and the emergency to repressurize the emergency hydraulics to be at least over 105 kilograms per square centimeters. This is the RSPN control panel. Also these buttons over here, RSPN. This is the IFF panel. I haven't tested it, but everywhere I've looked, it says that IFF isn't modeled in this plane, so there's that. Here we have the anti-icing, the main anti-icing switch and cockpit temperature switch, the de-icing testing switch, the eject unlock. I don't think it's modeled in this simulation. Yeah, it can be pressed. But what it does is, if one of the two pilots, because there's one back there, this is usually the trainer, and I'm the trainee sitting up front. So if we have to eject and one of us pulls those eject handles, we get ejected automatically one after the other. But if for some reason the first doesn't get ejected because of an issue or error, you can then unlock the eject button so that at least you yourself can eject. You know what I mean? So this is in case of ejection failure from the primary seat. Emergency instrument power switch, also in case of emergency, that you can at least have battery power to the lighting system. This is the emergency light. Then we have the ADF finder control panel, or ADF control panel. The ACB, the automatic circuit breaker control panel. This is the main circuit switch that you're going to use. The cockpit pressurization lever. Here we have the diffuser temperature, or at least heating and cooling switch, as well as the flight suit temperature knob. But it's not modeled. Everything air conditioning wise is not modeled in this plane, as far as I know. Then we have the two warning panels here. Usually this is for critical warnings, and this is mostly informational. This is the master warning, and I think that's the AOE warner, I'm not quite sure yet. Magnetic heading sync. So if the magnetic compass has a problem, you can then in level flight resync the magnetic compass with the ADI. Well, that's what I'm told. This is the weapon controls panel. This is the fire indication test switch. This is a flare dispenser, per color one time only. This is the wheel brake pressure gauge for left and right, the total hydraulics pressure. And here we have the trimmer, the lateral and longitude trimmer check. So this is 0 trimmed longitudinal, and lateral will light up if it's zeroed. Then here we have the airspeed in kilometers per hour, altitude in meters, and this is the pressure gauge and the pressure knob, currently set to QNH, meaning ground level. This is the very important, and not every plane has that. That's a radar altimeter, and with this button you can set the warning height. So if you fly below this height, this altitude, you get a warning flash and a signal, a warning tone, and a signal up there low altitude. This is the for the RSBN, which displays the distance to the next selected ISBN beacon. This is the HSI with, well, quite a lot of functions. With or HSI, it's also called the RMI, the radio magnetic indicator, which shows you the heading and also the course line. The course line can be set with this knob. This is the ADI, which will also display your the difference to the selected height and direction over here. Okay. This is multifunctional. It's called a variometer, and it will show you basically the vertical speed, plus minus in meters, and also the degree in pitch, and if you're flying course corrected. What it's called. So if your radar setting is zeroed for the current flight and wind. This is the radio compass, which will show you the direction set by the ADF. Here we have a clock with a timer function. This little gauge here shows you the pressure difference between inside and outside. So if you have a pressure leak, you can see it right here, but if I'm not mistaken, there's also a warning light. This gauge here shows you the engine vibration. So if it goes beyond a certain vibration, I think the engine will actually shut off. So because the fuel will be, the fuel lines will be shut off. Also very important for the engine vibration tester right here. If you press this and the engine is running, you might probably shut down the engine because you are going to shut off the fuel valve. Okay, here we have voltage and ampere meter. Here we have the what is? I think that's, yeah, exactly, that's fuel pressure in kilograms per square meter. That's oil pressure, and this is oil temperature. And here we have the carried fuel in kilograms. the RPM meter with the high compressor N1 and low compressor N2. The 2 is not visible yet. This is the engine temperature gauge, and that's for the forward dashboard. Let's go over here. Also weapon selector, gear switch, gear control panel. Also if you have the air brake out, a warning light will shine. This is the ADF channel 1 or 2 selector, or outer and inner beacon selector. This isn't modeled. This is the pressure gauge for the flight suit itself. This is air pressure for the cockpit. It is modeled. The wheel brake and emergency wheel brake lever, fire extinguisher, as I already said, the vibration tester, emergency fuel switch. So if there is a problem with the fuel lines or the tanks are empty or whatnot, there is, I don't know where exactly, but there is at least a little bit of fuel in an emergency tank, and you can switch to it and maybe at least get home or land more safely. Engine stop, if you have to stop the running engine for some reason. The engine starter, the APU starter, APU stop, if you have to stop the APU for some reason, emergency usually. This is are the flap selection buttons, and these are the flaps indicators, ground power indicator, and the engine starter switch selector. Usually you have it on start, but you can also have it on false start or cold crank. What I found out is this: false start. If you start the engine normally and for some reason it won't start correctly, or there is a burnout or whatever, you then need to select false start, engage the APU, and let's see, how does this go? Yeah, exactly. You start the turbo button, and after the turbo button you start the engine button, and after 45 seconds you can stop the turbo button again, and everything should be reset. You do this so that the fuel lines to the engine get emptied and can be reused again. Cold crank is most probably if you have to use more oil to the engine in very cold weather, I would suggest, like minus 10-15 degrees. You would use it in this setting. But quite honestly, I haven't read anything about this yet, so this is a best guess of me. Helmet heating is not modeled. Visor quick heating, same, is not modeled. In the C version, you would actually have a helmet heating thermostat knob right here to set the temperature. Here we can switch between the main and standby pitot tube. Pitot tube is this one, where the airplane gets all the information like airspeed from the air pressure and such. And the backup one, or vice versa, I don't know which is the main one. Okay, let's go back. This is also weapons related. This is the cockpit lighting. It has primary red, secondary white, and as backup auxiliary you have the emergency lighting. This will only light up the main dashboard, I think. And missile seeker tone, which is also weapons related. the main radio channel selector, squelch to hear a continuous tone to check if the comm system is working, radio control to select if either the front or the back cockpit have control over the communication selector, intercom volume and radio volume, and you can switch the intercom off or into standby, and the ADF volume switch. This doesn't enable ADF, the automatic direction finder, but it enables you to hear the volume of the ADF beacon. This is the flight recorder, which is modeled. If you enable it and save the track file, some more information will get saved, and on playback you will get a picture-in-picture window with flight data and stuff. Pitot tube heating, if you're flying in adverse condition or very high or in very cold weather, you can enable the pitot heating. Usually you have this always enabled. So helmet ventilation, just like helmet heating, it's not modeled. Emergency oxygen switch, if the primary oxygen supply has a problem, then you can enable this one. I don't know how long it goes, but I'm pretty sure you can at least land safely. Oxygen mixture lever. So if you need 100% oxygen, I don't know, maybe if you're tired or something, usually you have this on normal. The oxygen valve, this is European system, so to the right is closed, to the left or counterclockwise is open. And suit ventilation, which is also not modeled. Okay, I think that's more or less it. Emergency canopy jettison, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. It will kick off the canopy so you can crawl out of the airplane if the ejection seat isn't working, or if you have a problem on the ground where this ejection seat doesn't work. It's only, I think, about 300 meters where you are allowed to use it. So below 300 you would eject the canopy and crawl out the airplane. Then canopy forward lock is to lock the canopy, and then you can pressurize it with this lever. Okay, so let's go and start it up. This is my checklist here. Check all CB and emergency levels, so all CBs are up, emergency levels are forward or disengaged, battery on, should read about 24 volts. Okay. Yeah, a few warning lights come up, that's normal. Flight suit AC to auto, yeah, it is set to auto. You don't really, most of these things, the black stuff, the black written text, you don't have to check or set. It's totally optional. Check oxygen valve and diluter switch. We already did that, and diluter switch also. Check fuel shut-off lever. It's forward, so the fuel lines are open. Squelch is off, and radio control is set to my cockpit. Intercom main. Yep, intercom is not in standby, and as I've already said, helmet ventilation and helmet heating is not modeled. Now, you can either set the parking brake, that's what I like to do. You have to push this lever completely forward, and as you can see, this lever flag pushes upwards, and now the parking brake is engaged. Or what you can also do, but we have to enable the radio first. Let's see, intercom should be working now. You can also tell ground crew to place wheel chocks.
Chief, place the wheel chocks. Copy. Wheel chocks are now
Yep.
in place.
They are now in place, but we are not going to use that because we are using the parking brake, so you can remove that again.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks. Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
Now what you can also do but don't have to do is enable ground electric power,
Chief, turn on the ground power.
and this light will come on.
Copy. Ground power is now on.
Okay. This jet has its own battery, right? And APU, so engine starter, not an external APU needed. But if you take longer for a startup, like explaining stuff like doing right here, you usually enable external power. Okay, so what's next? Okay, yeah, set the altimeter warning height and the barometric pressure. I like to have it at 0 on the airport that I'm going to land on. We are not gonna land in this video, but let's say we would land here, then we would leave it at this level. Okay, next. So, if landing, and this is what I get at, because it's not really explained in the manual. Here you have the RSBN elevation knob. Here you set the QNH, you set the QFE pressure, meaning above sea level, for the RSBN. So the way to do this is you check the F10 map, set airport elevation, okay, 45 meters, that's not a lot, so it probably doesn't really matter right now. And the thing is also, you can't really set it this really like on this level. It's not that accurate. So 45. So we would set the baro pressure to 45 meters, right about here. Now you see the pressure which has to be set. That's about 751, and now you would set the pressure here to 7. This is 2 and about 751. But I'm not really sure anyone would ever fuck around with this one. It's just too much of a hassle. Okay, let's set it back to 0. Okay. Next we have engine, inverter 1 and 2, and we already enabled the radio switch. Then we can check the engine vibration. The needle goes up and we let go of the button. Okay. Then we can check the fire warning circuits. This is down here. 1. Keep pressed and up. Okay. Then we have the warning light test button, which will illuminate all lights, as you can see down there on both warning panels, and the gear control flaps. Everything seems to be working. So seeing this symbol right here, it's most probably not an AOA indicator. I mean, of a sort. It's probably the AOA indicator for the missile. If you are outside the AOA range of the, I think the R60 air-to-air infrared-guided missile. That's also what this heating is for the AOA sensor. That's this switch and this light right here. Okay, so we tested the warning lights. Now, on the C level plane, on the C version of the plane, you have an extra button right here to disable the engine overheat system. We don't have that in the CA, so we are gonna disable engine overheat here, and now we're gonna test it. Switch circuit 1. Nothing displays. Okay, that's right, because it is disabled. Circuit 2. Yeah. Let's now go ahead and re-enable the circuit breaker. Now the warning light comes up for circuit 2, and circuit 1 warning light comes up. Okay, so this system is working also. Let's check the de-icing. Press here and the little green button LED will light up. Okay, de-icing should work. Now flight recorder set to on. Now we can set the command channel, and the way to do this is the following. You set the plane has 20 channels, 0 to 19, and you can set the frequencies in the mission editor, so before actually going into the plane. If you don't set it, then the plane has these frequencies right on the top in the middle, as you can see right here in my checklist. So an upper would be frequency 250, which is channel number 5. Right? So you say we are on the airport Kutaisi, and let's see if this is available. Yes, Kutaisi is 263 and channel 14. And it should also be visible in the mission briefing. Let's see. Oh, here you can see the QNH setting actually. Right. So you can set the QNH to 250 like this. Okay. Now, and the latitude value would be 042, which you could set down there. But I don't see the radio channel. Yeah, you'll have to make your own kneeboard for that. Okay, so radio channel is now set, and we can talk to the tower. Now we we could also set the ADF frequencies, but we don't have anywhere we wanna navigate to, so we will leave this for another video. Let's go ahead and start up. Okay. Let's call it the tower and request startup.
Uzi 3, request startup. Uzi 3, Pataisi, cleared for startup, wind 061 at 4 meters per second.
Okay. And for whatever reason, apparently you should disable pretty much every automatic circuit breaker except for the two that you need, that is battery and engine. Make sure the throttle is in the stop position. Here you can see there's a stop position and an idle position. You can't move the throttle unless it is switched by button press into the idle position. Only then you can use it as a normal throttle lever. And that's for security reason, obviously. So, okay, this is in stop. We have the parking brake engaged. Now, what else do we have here? Lights don't start an inverter. Yeah, if warning lights are inverter or don't start are lit up, if the engine CB comes on, you shouldn't start the engine anyway. So you have to make sure to look out for those. But nothing critical here. Okay, so next we go and start the engine. APU cover, engine cover. We start the APU. Press and set the clock. It should come on in about 20 seconds. You will see it right up here. And we can listen to it, of course. Okay, APU has started. Reset it. Close. Now we can start the engine. Press. Clock. It should come on in 50 seconds. And throttle to idle. Okay, RPMs are rising. Temperature rising. Shouldn't go above 600. Fuel pressure, oil pressure, and oil temperature. We are at 40 seconds, and it's pretty much stabilized. Looks good so far. Reset the clock. Now we can enable the main and emergency generator and tell the chief to disable ground power.
Chief, turn off the ground power. Copy.
We can also go ahead and close the cover.
Ground power is now off.
Okay. Now we go ahead and enable all automatic circuit breakers. As you can see, the ADI just enabled. The HED GMK switch is the ADI, and the magnetic compass AOE heating switch with don't really need it right now, but let's go ahead and enable it. Both inverters, weapon switch, we don't need that either. The radio switch, intercom and external wing tanks, that switch has to be explained. If we enable this, the warning light comes on, and that is because we don't have any drop tanks, and the fuel we haven't the plane isn't fueled up 100%, meaning on the wing tips, these are small tanks, each 100 liters of fuel, and if those are empty or the drop tanks are empty, this light comes on, which means you can then turn off the wing tanks. So it's only internal fuel for now. Okay, then ISBN switch for the ISBN system and HSI. The de-icing signal switch to enable automatic de-icing. Marker beacon receiver and altimeter, so radio altimeter and ISBN and EDF beacon switch. STU is landing, I think, height indicator. Okay, that's all AC Beast. Now let's go ahead and close the cockpit. Lock the cockpit and pressurize the cockpit. This will go off in a second, while the radar altimeter will come on in a second and display warning. At least that's the case in the C model. Okay, it's off, and the radar altimeter warning. This will stay on, of course, until takeoff. Now, what else can I show you right now? Yeah, I found a little thing. The flare dispenser. Let's enable it, and then we can press the button for the yellow flare, and we just dropped a yellow flare. As you can see, there are 4 ejection ports for the single-use flares for all 4 colors. Okay, fun. Another neat little thing is you can extend the panel visor if there's a lot of sun glare. Cool. Also, you have these markers here. This one is for the gears. So if the gears are up, the marker will go down into the plane. You have the same marker here and here for the flaps. So these are the main wheels in the back and the flaps. So if we switch the flaps to the up position, they will go down. Yeah, and they're hidden, meaning no more flaps. That's very cool. Let's go ahead and switch to takeoff position, meaning the marker will only be half visible. Okay, now we could enable the instrument lighting or backup, meaning white light. Then we have the taxi light, landing light shouldn't be used too much on the ground because it can overheat. At least, I mean it's pretty. It's surely not modeled, but that's what the manual states. And the landing light will go automatically off and on if you keep it enabled. So if the gears are put up, the landing light will disable, and if you put them down to land, they will again be shiny and come on. So okay, let's disable those. And we have the navigation lights. You can set the brightness from 60, 30 to 100%, and you can set them to flash or steady. Let's check. Yeah, red, white, green. Perfect. And that's pretty much for the startup video. Now you can don't forget to release the parking brake. Now this is the braking lever on the throttle, and you can see the gauges rise down in the middle. And the way you turn is by engaging the rudder more than 50% in one direction, and you brake with the braking lever, which means you engage the differential braking and you turn to one side or the other. So let's try and roll forward, which isn't possible because of the parking brake, at least if the parking brake holds. Yeah. Yeah. That works. Okay. Release the parking brake. And we are moving forward. Let's try that again. A little bit more power. Now, if I use the rudders, nothing happens. Rudder plus braking, and we are turning. So, okay. So, getting this plane to be dead center on the runway is a little bit tricky, because you have to wait a bit for it to go straight ahead. I think we are there now, but we are off to the side a bit. Yeah. Let's try this switch. I haven't done that. Oh, it works. Okay. Oh, and the warning light comes up. Dangerous altitude and canopy unlocked. You can say that again. I don't get why the cockpit pressure warning light doesn't come on. Where is it? Air condition off, JPD, engine bin. Okay. Ah, here it is, cabin pressure. Maybe it only... Oh, that was close. Maybe it only comes on when we reach a certain altitude. I'm gonna try that. Okay, that's it from me for this video. Okay, thanks for watching the video, and see you guys next time.